doc test. The recording has started, so yeah, we're good to go. Does anyone know how to perform a Python doc test?
No, don't know.
I don't.
But most of your projects have been asking you. I think 1 or 2 or 3 of your projects have requested that you perform doc test. So how have you been doing it?
You know now.
Okay, I understand. No
Okay.
problem. Okay, so let me share my screen quickly. I will start by sharing this tab. Okay, so when you can see my screen, let me know.
Yes.
Okay.
I can see it.
Great. For this to work, I have to use the sandbox for this to work, so that you really understand what is happening. But I'll run this code here now, and then I want us to see the outputs. Then let's see what happens. Okay, no module named my module. Okay, so this won't go. We can't use this here for now. Just give me a moment. We can't use this. Okay, so I will comment this out. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, so now after running this code, you would see that there are no outputs. Is that correct?
Yes.
That is because this code ran successfully using all the parameters that are imputed. What it means is,
Okay.
the function is supposed to add 2 numbers, a and b, right?
Yes.
Now, this document or this doc string I have here is what this doc test would take as parameters that it would enter into the code. So when I run this code, the doc test will go to the doc string, will check, okay, so this guy is saying I should add 2 and 3. If the answer is 5, that is successful. If the answer of -1 plus 1 is 0, that's also successful. So the doc test would not return any output, because all the attempted tries for the codes to run is correct. But let's say I do this, for example. Now let's see what happens if I run this code. Do you see the error that it came out with? It says
Yes.
one item add failure, and it showed me the exact doc string that had the issue. Okay, let's say I fix this now. I put a 0 here. Let's say I put a 2 here, and I run. It also brought back an error. Why?
Because the answer is wrong.
Good. I told the doc test that after you run this code, you should get 5. But the doc test, but the actual code is giving 7. So it will tell me that no, it's not possible. You can't get 5. So that's why it's saying 1. But if I change this to 7 now and I run, it's not going to bring back any output, because all the tests were successful. Are we following?
Yes.
Okay, now let me show you something. Let's now go to the sandbox and see what I'm trying to talk about. Okay, so are you seeing my sandbox now?
Yes.
Very dark.
Obviously it will be dark. Okay, so let me zoom in a bit. How about now? Is it better?
Yes.
Okay, good. So let me switch into this directory called empty directory. Sorry, you may see that I don't have many files in my sandbox. That's because I destroyed my sandbox to be able to create another one. As you move further in the program, you would need to destroy one of the sandbox you have been using for a very long time for a newer one. So you have to know how to clone like quickly as you can, because by the time you create a new sandbox, you need to clone the repository again. All right, so okay, I want to create a file. Let's call that file add.py. Okay, so in this file, I want it to be a so hashbank bin usr python 3, right? Def add a comma b. So let's do our Python comment now. This function returns the sum. Why am I wasting my time? Let me just copy what I already have there and just paste it here. So I don't want to go through that process. Okay, so shift insert. Good. Okay, so I think we're good.
Yes.
Now, did you take note that inside here, I don't want to put the doc test here. The doc string is here, but I don't want to put the doc test here. I'll tell you why I'm doing that. So let's save and quit. Then I need to set this as executable. Okay, so it's now executable. The next thing I need to do now is to create the doc test. So let's say let me call that doc test.py vi. Okay, so I'll paste in my doc test. And do this. Okay, so what do I have here? I should import add.py. Okay, and then down here, the doc test I'm performing is for what? It's for add.py. Okay, so I save and quit. I set that also to be executable. Let me clear my screen. Okay, so I have two files. One is called doctest.py that is dependent on another file called add.py. So if I run doctest.py, okay, so give me a moment, let me fix something. Okay, yes, I'm supposed to import add, not add.py. Okay, so
you imported the file instead of the function.
And but is the file I'm supposed to import, not the. Yes, I'm supposed to import the function, not the file. So let me try that again. Oh, sorry. Mistake again.
Is it point to syntax error?
I must have made another error somewhere. r.py. Line 4. Let's check what the error on line 4 is. Line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4.
Were you supposed to space after comma?
Doesn't disturb anything. A space or no space shouldn't disturb anything. That's not an issue.
This comment. Are you
Yes.
supposed to close it all together with the functions?
Look at what we
Are you
have here.
supposed to? I was wanting to ask you from this point first that your comment is carrying this function. I thought it was maybe is this application.
This is open comment here, and everything that is going to be in your doc string will be in the open and close comment. Everything here is doc string, so it's supposed to be inside the open column, open quotes and close quotes. So everything here are multi-line comments, which is correct.
Yes, I'm surprised that because I thought that whatever is being commented is not supposed to be active. It's supposed just to display. Like
it's not supposed to have color.
No, not yes. That is it now. That's when I got confused.
So
I thought if it's commented,
let me see. I don't know why this one is having color. Let's find out. It's having color. I guess it's because they are what we want the doc test to test. That's why they are in colored.
Yes. So, is there any way we can we try removing this closing comment here and let us keep it only on the line on the at like on the definition of the function of what the code should do?
Okay, so let's close it here. That's what you mean.
Yes.
And then take out this one.
Yes.
Like this. Okay, let's see. Let's see if that changes anything. R.py. Still have the same error.
Same error.
Exactly.
There is
okay, so okay, so this is the file. Import. So this should not be my module. This should be add. No, I'm not going to. I don't need to import anything now. I don't need to import.
Are you sure we are saying what you're doing?
Okay, you can't see the. Sorry. Sorry. Can you see what I'm doing now?
Yes, sir.
So the only thing I need to import is doc test. I don't need to import the function since it's the function I'm going to be using. Okay, so everything is all set. Let me.
Catherine.
Yeah, I'm
Can
here.
you
I'm
please
here.
mute?
Mute.
Please mute so that we can hear our teacher.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
Let me deliberately put this one wrong. So instead of 2 plus 5 to be 7, let me deliberately make it to be 5. So let it be wrong. Let's have 2 to be right and 1 to be wrong. Okay, so let's set that file to be executable. The file is now executable. So clear. So this is the shortcut python -m doc test, the file name r.py. This should run the doc test. Good, excellent. I remember this is how I normally run my doc test. Python-m doc test add and the file name. So you see it says one of the codes failed. Adding 2 plus 5, he expected 5 but he got 7, so one item had failure. So this is, let's now correct that. Let's now correct it and see what happens this time. So switch this to 7, save and quit, then we run the doc test again. No output. Why?
Because it's correct and
It's correct.
there was no
Exactly.
no return.
Good. There's no error, so nothing should return. But do you see the doc test saved in another file?
Yes.
Called
How did that happen?
add.pyc. When you run doc test with bash, just like I've done, when you use bash line of code to run doc test, you will get a .pyc file. And when you open it, you will see something that looks like gibberish, because it's not a text file, it's not a txt file, it's just it's supposed to be an executable file. Do you get? It's an executable file, and you will see down here it says it's a doc test. In this place I highlighted, you see it says it's a doc test. So quit. So I think let's do this now. Do you remember how we do you remember piping? Do you remember how we pipe our output?
Piping into.
Okay, so what I want us to do is we want to pipe the output of this function. Let's pipe it into no, the echo should come first. Okay, no, if this gives an output, then we echo it into another file. So let's echo that into a file called let's call that doctest.txt, and let's see if this gives us anything tangible. Okay, I don't think it will give us anything. Let's see. If I vi the doctest.txt, it should be empty. Yes, it's empty. Can someone tell us why it's empty? Because there's no error, so we don't expect any output.
Oh, still that's them.
Exactly. So now let's create an error now, and then we want whatever output comes from the error to be saved into that doctest.txt. Okay, so a close field in file object destructor, blah blah blah. Let's see if we have something inside our txt file now. Still, we don't have anything there. Okay, I get it. Since we already have txt file, let's do this. Double, that's append. Okay, so apparently that didn't work. Anyway, you now know how to do doc test, right?
Yes, yes.
So all you need to do is import the doc test into your file. Go to the bottom and type this: if underscore name equal to underscore main doc test mode. Then you close the bracket and then you type, when you're done saving the file, or your bash or your Linux or your Ubuntu or whatever, just type python -m doc test the file name, and then you would expect the test to run. Great. Now the next thing I want
sir.
to
Sir, please. Sorry. That part you wrote under, in the bracket there is empty, but you had added something there before.
Okay, now the reason why the bracket is empty is because I'm running this doc test inside this file.
Okay.
If I have let me show you now that I think everything is functional now. Let me do something very interesting. See me. Sorry, let me just do this. I will just quit without saving. Okay, so let me take this out. Okay. Let's save and quit. Then let's create another file. Let's call it test.py. So we are going to import add. We are also going to import doc test. Then we are going to say if underscore name equal to open quote underscore main what should happen? One, two, three, four. Doc test dot test
mode
add. Do we get?
Yes.
Okay, so I think this is fine. Let me set that to executable. So all I need to do is to run test.py. Still giving me the issue. Says is expecting near unexpected add.
So like this, what is linking the test.py and the add.py while you're executing it here now?
I think I know what the issue is now. Why is my sandbox stuck? Sandbox is stuck. My sandbox is stuck. Yes, the asterisk makes it to take unlimited number of arguments. Okay, so let me run this and see. Yes, I was expecting an error. Exactly, I was expecting an error. I know I must have typed something wrong somewhere. Okay, so this should be sum equals to sum plus I, then return sum. Okay, I think this should work now. So let's run. Yes, good. good. Iran, right?
You are saying -1 plus 1 plus
Okay.
5 equal to 5, and is see what is giving. It's giving -1.
He didn't sum correctly.
Yes.
Okay, so let me fix it then. Uh, plus equal to I.
Hi.
Let's see if this works. Got to still not iterating properly. If it's like this, are you seeing it? Are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
like this, when it starts initially with sum equal to 0, by the time sum becomes 2, that's what will get returned to this place. The code will not run multiple times. So let me put the return out here and let's run it. Okay, so 2 3 got 2, got 3 instead. This one got 4. Still not summing proper. How do we take in unlimited function? Unlimited arguments in C? Do you remember?
I don't remember. Is it not the same star? I think. Is it?
Now don't use everything chop eba. For C, you use the periodic functions. Let me show you what it looks like. For the periodic function, you have something like this. I hope you still remember how to declare variables, how to declare function. You see, periodic. Let me just call it a different name. Let's say int add numbers. So what we do is we say asterisk int int asterisk p, then we do this triple dot. This is how to declare periodic function in C. So go when you finish this thing, go and check again. Go to your periodic functions. Periodic functions in C is what is used to take in multiple arguments for C. But for Python, we use the star args, and we have another one. I hope you remember what this star does in C.
Yes.
Is what? Pointers.
Yes.
So I hope you remember how to use pointers.
We remember.
Yeah, small.
You can remember small.
We will remember.
Yes.
No problem. God will help us. God will help us.
I want is it really advisable to know all these as in all these languages, or just focusing on one
Okay.
or two that you can
Let
know
me
how to do them?
let me just tell you something. You don't need to
Yeah.
know. You don't need to know all the syntaxes of all the languages.
Mm.
Take for example,
Yes.
if I can speak Igbo and I don't
Yes.
see who to speak Igbo with, it's possible
Okay.
for me to forget some major words in the Igbo language. But I mustn't forget
Yes.
the basic communication in the language.
Mm.
I mustn't. Even if I don't
So
get anybody to speak it with, I must always remember the basic communication, like good morning, good afternoon, I want to buy something, I want to eat, how much is this thing, where
how
do you
much?
put this thing, some things like that. I must always remember how to speak those basic ones.
Okay.
So that is the same way it is with all these languages. We have learned C. You must know how to interact with C, even if you don't know the deep ones, but the basic ones, like all these pointers, data, arrays. Those are things that you must be able to know hands on, even without going to check anything. You should be able to write simple program using them. Then maybe, okay, if now a bulky work shows up, you can then now use maybe ChatGPT to assist yourself to remember how to write the big ones. But the basic communication, like, okay, write a function, declare a variable, declare a pointer. Those are like basic things that you must always remember.
Those ones, yeah.
Then the major language that you now speak, like maybe English language now, you must even know the big grammar because you need it everywhere you go. So if it's Python, maybe you eventually get a job that requires you to code Python. You can know Python in and out, but you mustn't forget how to use C. Otherwise, you did not learn the language properly. That's the way it works. So I'm not saying you must remember how to use pointers and all those things, no. But at least try. Just try your hands on writing simple programs in C on your when you are less busy, so that you don't completely forget the language.
Okay.
If you forget the language, it's not good though. Okay, so the next one we will talk about is the next one was,
Yeah.
okay,
Are you
so
recording, sir?
yes, I'm recording, yes.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so this is the next one we want to talk about now. Quags. Look at it. Quags. What is quags? Now, okay, I forgot to add to it. Asterisk args. We said it takes multiple arguments, right?
Yes.
But what it does is all those arguments it takes, it put them in a tuple. Do you remember what a tuple is?
Yes.
A tuple is a type of list that cannot be modified.
I know.
You remember? A tuple is a type of list, but you cannot modify it. You cannot change the content. That's why it's called a tuple. But for list, I can modify the content of a list. That's why it's called a list. I hope you guys are hearing me.
Yes.
Good. But dictionary. A dictionary is a type of list as well, except that it has keys and it has values. Are we moving in uniform?
Yes.
Yes.
So I've mentioned to you now 3 data types: list, tuples, dictionary. Tuple is a list but cannot be modified. However,
And set is part of them too, right?
good, set is part, but sets are similar to dictionary. The only difference is that for a set must contain similar data types, but dictionary can contain different data types.
Okay.
So let's look at this now. For quags, what quags does is quags too can take in unlimited argument. However, those arguments must be represented as a dictionary. So let's take for example, maybe you are creating a user login page. You got a job, you are the back-end engineer. They are asking you now, please create a login, not login pages. Let's not go to login page yet. Say create a registration page. For registration page, what would you have? You have name, you have email address. You can ask the user to choose a username, then a password, right?
Yes.
So you would have quags. Quags can take in multiple data types. But what you would do in order to navigate your quags is that you would have arranged the way the logged registration form will look like. That is the same way you would have arranged your code at the back end. So if the first information the user want to enter is name, in your back end you would have created that, okay, let this user be able that this information the user want to enter on the first, and press and go to the next tab, that information must be name. So you code such that your first key here will be linking to name. Then maybe after the name, the next thing you are expecting from the user is user's age. This key here will be linked to age, so that when the user wants to enter it, you will not tell that this thing this user want to enter only accept integer. Immediately the user puts anything that is not integer, mark it as false. That's why when you want to register some form and you put the wrong input in some field, it will tell you that this input is not acceptable. Because in your backend, you have identified that that key must only take integer. Then the next line of registration is city, string. So the user will enter string. At the same time, you can tell the key to only take between a particular range of input. For example, somebody go and enter maybe somebody enter bread as a city. The thing will tell you bread is not acceptable because it is not part of the list of input that can go into city. Is it making sense?
Makes sense.
Yes, I want to ask a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, let me say for instance now they also ask the person to put the address. Let me say for that, and the address contains a string and also integer as a number. So or then this. Is there a code that can also be written in that can accept both integer and string?
We thank God for those who created coding. Numbers can be represented as strings, but strings cannot be represented as numbers. Number 13 can be written as 1 and 3 in string format, very acceptable to the computer. So for situations like address, the input will be taken as string.
Okay.
So string is able to take any type of character, maybe symbol, maybe number, maybe alphabet. Strings can take it. So those who develop code made that possible. They made it possible for string to take it. The only time you need integer is if you want this person to enter maybe his phone number. Somebody now go and enter A in phone number. The thing will tell you, no, this phone number cannot be correct. Or maybe when the person is entering phone number, the person can enter 15 digits. They say, no, this kind of 15-digit phone number cannot be possible. So all those these things, they are informations that you specify to your key.
Okay.
And what does it is quags. That's why you say for key and for value in quags dot item. I can change these dot items to anything. I can write for key value in quags dot list. I can put dot list here or dot a dot b. It will still accept. But because we want readability in our code, we use keywords that other people can easily understand. So if you say for key and value in quags dot items, the person who is reading this code will know that, okay, this person wants to list a dictionary. That's why it's saying items. Usually we use items for list, for dictionary, for tuples, but most of the time we use it for dictionary and list. That's when we use these items. Then when the person has seen key and value, the person mind already goes to dictionary, because list does not have key and value. List have only value. an index. But dictionary have index, key, and value. I hope we know what index is.
Yes.
Index is the position a particular character is occupying in the code. For example, this J is occupying position 0, index 0.
Zero.
Good,
Yes, yes.
good. So if I run this code now,
Zero is now 1.
do you see the output when I run the code?
Yes.
John, name is John, age is 30, city is New York. Let's put another information here. Let's say we put Philip, age, let's add 45, city, let's add Lagos, and let's see if this will give us output. Okay, so it says positional argument follow keyword. Okay, so we'll do this name, then we'll specify age, and then we'll specify another city. If this doesn't work, it means we'll run. Okay, so it doesn't work. We move this to, we move it here. Then we move this one too away from here, and we put it here. Okay, so this should work. Keyword argument repeated. Oh, I see. Okay, let's do this. Okay, so let's see. I have Philip. Five. Lagos. Okay, that didn't work. So what it means is I can put these ones on a new line. Like, yeah, so let me do this for line 8. I copy this, I put it here, then let's put one more. So let's change this to Philip, let's change this to 20 years, let's change this to Lagos, then let's change this to Ayo, let's say 15. Okay, let's put something else like Q, and let's call this
So that you bring the
exactly, let's call this song. So it says John 30, New York, Philip is 20, stays in Lagos. Name error, Q is not defined. Do you see line 9? It says Q is not defined.
Yes.
So it's expecting, but if I put this in quotes now, you see why code is very interesting. If I put this in quotes, it will print. Oh, do you see it prints it as Q?
Yes, you have already done. You have already given an instruction to print it.
Why is it printing it? Even though it's not an integer, why is it printing it? Because I have not specified any property here that says that age must always be an integer. So any input I enter for age is acceptable.
Okay.
Do you get the logic?
Yes.
So any input I enter for age, it will automatically mark it as correct. Okay, so I've explained what asterisk arc does, and I've also explained what double star coax does. Okay, the next thing I want to explain is here, is on I'll share another tab for you. Is from Okay, I'm sure you can see my screen. It's from ChatGPT. Are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll talk about UUID and UUID4. UUID stands for Universally Unique Identifier, and UUID4 is just a random based algorithm that is based off from UUID. Now, this is what it does, or this is the advantage. Just remember what I just explained now. Just remember what I just explained now. Are we seeing back the code that we wrote just now?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if I want this information, this information to be saved somewhere. For example, user 1 have logged in, user 2 have logged in, user 3 have logged in. What if user 1 and user 4 have the same name, the same age, and live in the same city? When they want to log in, which particular information will they use to log in? Will I give them the same username? Don't you think that's a good question?
Yes, 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 yes.
Somebody wants to create a Facebook account. He has created a Facebook
That
account. He used one name. He now want to use that same name to open another Facebook account. But this time around, the first one he used email address. This time around, I want to use phone number. He's a Yahoo
And
boy.
his phone number.
It's a
Yes.
Yahoo boy. He have used name and he have used email for the first one. He now want to use the same name and use phone number for the second one. The names are the same. How will the system or how will the computer know that these two accounts are two separate accounts and do not give them the same username?
there has to be a unique
Probably
ID.
There have to be a unique
unique the primary
ID.
key.
Good. There has to be a unique
Primary key and
ID.
like the phone number.
There has to be a unique ID that differentiates the two accounts. That is where the UUID comes into play. It generates a random digit. This is a sample of what it generates. It generates a random digit that is attached to a particular database record. Do you see? We use it in database record. So if somebody want to log in into a particular system, even though the person use the same name, but as he's logging in, a UUID is generated for him. So anytime he wants to come back and log in, the IP address or the email address or something unique like email and phone number, something unique is attached to that particular login session that makes it easier for him to be able to recall it whenever he's coming back another time. Is the whole thing making sense?
Yes, yes, it's making.
Okay, so that is the way, that's what UUID do. So usually when we are coding with Python, what we do is, you see in this project that we want to talk about, all these things I'm saying is because we will need it. We will need it in this project that I want to talk about. You see import UUID. You see import UUID. Then you see from UUID4. This is what you will see. You see import UUID from UUID4, and then you see us using it inside the code very soon. That when we begin, you see us using inside the code. Now all this thing I'm saying is because when I start to now explain it, I say okay, quags. I say okay, so let's see now that we have used quags, what do we expect? Are we getting it?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Mm.
Good. Last name is rectangle. What is the purpose of this one here? What is the purpose?
Um. Yes.
This highlighted text is what we call the initialization of the class.
Mm.
That's what it's called. Let me explain it to you. Let me look for a very simple word to use to explain it. Okay, good. Do you know all these very long BRT buses?
Yes.
You know they have seats and sometimes people stand.
Yeah.
Good. Let's call that BRT a class.
Yeah.
So that BRT is a class. Okay. Yes, I can use that. Let me use that example. Then I'll use another example. Let's call that BRT a class. Inside the class, what do we have? Like inside the BRT, what do we have? We have seats.
Passengers and passengers.
We have seats, right? No, let's talk about the seat first. Let's say the BRT is empty, no passenger yet.
Okay.
We have seats. Those seats are, let's call those seats objects. Let's call those seats objects. But every time that BRT is on the road, before any passengers sit down, somebody must be sitting down. Who is that person?
The driver.
Excellent. The driver must always be sitting down first before any other person sit down. Let's call that driver self. That driver is called self. So def underscore init, that is the first person that must sit down, is the driver, which is the self.
Yeah.
The next thing, the seats, they are the objects. So what other objects are we trying to talk about here? The width and the height, which are the other objects, like the seats and the this thing they hold when they are standing, that people hold when they are standing. Now there's something very interesting about Lagos or about Nigeria and those BRT buses. Sometimes the driver is the conductor.
Yes.
Sometimes the conductor is the
Yes.
driver.
Yes.
So, or sometimes the driver is the one driving and is calling passenger by himself.
Yes.
So that driver calling passenger by himself is self.width. Are we following?
Yes.
So the driver is calling passenger. Now when the whole seat is full, the driver will begin to call passenger for hanging. Is that not so?
Yes.
Let's call that one self.height. But something that is very interesting is that as the passengers are entering, what will you see them doing as they are entering? All of them will be running to look for seats.
Sit on the seats.
So eventually, when the driver call them, they will now become seat. They will become seat owners. So we'll call them like this self.width. Immediately you enter now, it will now become width. Then the one that is hanging, immediately you enter, it becomes what? Height.
Height.
Again, does the driver pay for bus?
No.
The driver doesn't pay. Good. You see why I asked that question now as we move forward. You see that driver doesn't pay for motor, doesn't pay for anything. But him is just driving, sitting there enjoying. Now look at something very interesting about this initialization. How many parameters or how many variables do you see us declare here? We see three, right?
Yeah.
We see self, we see width, and we
Width
see
and
height.
height.
But when you are running this function, when you need to run this function, the only parameters you will enter are width and height. Only two parameters, because the driver doesn't pay, and which is the self. So his own money doesn't add to the total money they make at the end of the day. So it's only width and height that count, that matters.
Okay.
So this function, the only thing this function does, are you following? The only thing this function does is it provides the variable that the user will enter. It provides a place to store it. Just like everybody, self, width, height, driver, sitting down passenger, hanging passenger, they are all inside where? Inside the BRT,
Inside the
which is the class. So self, width, height, they are all inside this class called what? Rectangle.
rectangle.
I'm glad you guys are following well. It's making sense, Abi?
Yes.
Okay, you will see why I have to go through the stress of explaining these things, because if you don't understand classes, you will struggle. Many jobs, many programs, many softwares that are around today, they all work with classes. Okay, so let's move on now. We know, is this a function or a class or a class object?
The first one. Which one?
This thing I highlighted. Some people were
You
answering
know the
before now.
visualization.
Where all these people where they answer before? I don't see them again. This is a function. How is it a function? Because it's carrying def. Anywhere you see def, know that it's a function.
Function.
But what is the purpose of this function? Like I mentioned, the purpose of this function is to take in the inputs of the user and store it for the class. That's what it does. It doesn't do any other thing. That's just what it does. So how many objects have we stored now? How many objects can we store now? How many objects can we store so far into this class rectangle? Two objects. Width
Yes,
and
the
what?
width and the height.
Excellent.
The height.
The next thing we'll come to now is we want to find the area of a rectangle. Now, let's say as the BRT is full, the BRT is now moving, is moving. Last man now catch the BRT. When last man catch the BRT, what's the first thing they normally do?
They will try to jump inside the car.
Good, they jump inside as if they are the one that own the vehicle. They just jump inside, as if it's their vehicle. Then when they jump inside, what's the next thing they do to the driver?
They like to collect the car and sit on the driver's seat.
Good, they chase the driver away, say, get out, give us the key. But what will passengers be doing?
They will come down and have their way.
Good. Or sometimes if the driver is nice, they be telling the last man, Ejo,
They can
ejo, they
beg.
be begging, they be begging. Ejo, ejo, ejo.
If the
Abi,
last one refuse, they find their way and go to work. Yes.
if the last man don't hear the beg, they find their way. Okay, so what we are doing now is this area here. We assume that this area here is a last man official that have caught the boss that is a class. So this last man official now is another object that wants to enter inside that class. As the object is entering inside the class, what is he interacting with? The passengers.
Yeah, they do. Yes.
But the passengers, remember, who bring them in?
The driver.
So the driver brought in the passenger self.width, and he brought those that are hanging self.height, and this last mile official has chased them. So because we want another object to perform an operation on our class, we have to use the original self.object that we created. Here we created a self object called self.width. If I want to create another object, what will it be? It will be self.length, for example, and that will be equal to length. So if I need to input the argument, I will put it here as length. So this function has how many objects according to this first line? 3 objects. When we now add this next function to it, how many objects does it have now? It now has 4 objects. Sorry, 5 objects. Self,
Yeah, self the width and
width, height, length, and area. Are we making sense?
Yes.
Okay. Last man leave the driver now. The driver has begged them. He has finally paid like 10,000 naira. As he's going on the road, he's going. The next thing is Agbero. Give me money now, give me money. Agbero say, give me money, give me money, give me money. What happened? He say, I just come out. Last man catch me, last man catch me. If the Agbero start running after the motor and the guy did not give money, what will they do? They also jump inside.
Most time they'll try to do inside or
When they jump inside, what do they want to
try
do?
to remove
To take something away from the motor. Is that not so? Again, as they jump inside, as they are trying to take something from the motor, they are affecting the driver, which is the self that is inside here. So the Agbero is interacting directly with the driver or the conductor. The last man official is interacting directly with the driver or conductor. But that interaction has an effect on the passengers, both those sitting and those standing.
stand.
Are we good?
Yes.
Good.
Then at the end of the day, like I said, when they now want to count all the profits that was made that day, who will they use to count profit? Will they add the money that last man collects? They won't add it though, because it's not a
No, they'll
profit
add it
now.
up. They won't
Is it
add
a
it.
profit?
It's not a profit, it's a loss. It's a loss.
Will they add the money that Agbero collected?
No.
The only money they will add is
They
the money
calculate the cash at hand.
from the passengers, which are the width,
Yes, cash at hand.
the height, and the length, as we have mentioned just now. So if we run this code, what do we see as the width? 5. What do we
5.
see as the height? 10.
Yeah.
So 5 here. So those that are sitting paid, the profit from them is 5. Those that were the height 10. Then those that were length 15. But in our print statement, we only have width and height. That's why we only got the output for width, height, area, and perimeter. We didn't make room to print out length. So, but that's not an issue. Now let's use this same logic now let's do the area of a cuboid. So let's assume that this class is a cuboid. What's the area of a cuboid?
And length as breadth times height.
Good. Length times breadth times height. So this is length, width, and height. Then what's the area for the perimeter of a cuboid? We say 2 into brackets, length times breadth plus breadth times height plus width times so let's just do that. Okay, so we need a bracket here. This will not be plus, this will not be times, then this will be plus here. We have another bracket, so this will be self, let's just say we have self dot width plus self dot length. Then we have the last one, which is width, which is height and length, right? Then we'll close the brackets.
Yes.
Okay, so this will be we still have everything, but now let's add one more. Let's print our length. Rect dot length. So you see that when we wanted to print, we print rect dot width. Why were we able to print rect dot width and not rectangle dot width? Because we have given this class rectangle, we have assigned it a new variable name, which is rect. So we will change it to cube because we are now working with cuboid. Change it to cube. We can still leave it as rect and everything we print. So, but because let's just, so that our code will take proper shape, let's call it cube. Then the last one to cube. Then we have to make one final change. Because we change this to cuboid, we must change this to what? Cuboid. Otherwise it won't run. So this, we are creating an instance for a cuboid class. Okay, so let's run. Width is 5, height is 10, length is 50, area is 750, perimeter is 550. Do we get the logic?
Yes.
So when we create classes, we'll use the self or the first function, the init, the initialization. We use it to declare all the objects that we will need later on during the code. Then when we now go to the next functions and begin to determine all the operations of our code. So let's say we want to do the class for a user now, and we want to take the name, the age, and the city. This will be self dot what? Name. And this will be what? Name. This will be self dot age, and this will be what? Age. This will be self dot city. Then what will this be? City. Then let's say we want to define info. So we'll return self.age, comma, self.name, followed by self.age. No, let's call this one now. Let's say we want to define the city of the person. So the only thing we need to return here is what? The only thing we are going to return is self.city. Right? So we need to create an instance of the user class. So let's call this user in small letter and call this user starting with capital letter. You know, for classes, the first alphabet must be capital letter. I hope you know.
Yes.
So this is a variable. That's why everything is small letter, but this is a class. That's why it's capital letter. So let's say our name, we have John. John is a string, so we have to put it in quotes. Then age, let's say 20. City, Lagos. So we want to print, we will print only the area, we print only the info. So this will be what? User dot info. And this will be user dot city, and this will call city. Then let's run. String object is not callable. Did we do any addition and multiplication anywhere? Oh, okay. I get it. We have to this is a string and this is an integer. You can't print both of them on the same line, except we concatenate. We convert this to a string. We can convert this to a string. So if I run this again, it should print error. Let's do this. Okay, so let's run. String object is not callable. What do you mean by object is not callable?
Initially line 18.
Print user.city. This one has worked as John 20. Okay, it's only the city that is not running properly.
Yes.
Return self.city. Okay, it's correct now. City, small letter city. Oh, okay. Sorry, my bad. I'm not supposed to define a variable called city and then use it in a function again. So let me call this one cities. So user.cities can only concatenate strings. So that's our so let's fix our line 8 now. So I'll put a comma here and everything should be fine now. Yes. So my info, John 20, city, Lagos. So if you use a variable name, it mustn't be your function name, otherwise there will be an error because it wouldn't know which one you are calling. Are you calling the function or are you calling the object? So that's the thing, you won't know. So because I put city here and I put city here, it was a bit confused. Didn't know which one I was calling. So this is my info, John, and I'm 20. Then I stay in Lagos, or my city is Lagos. So let's say I want to add one more information. Let's say self dot username equals to user. So you know in some code they will tell you to create a username.
Yes.
So let's say self dot username. So here I will also put self dot user underscore name. So let's say I pick a username called fresh fish 25. Let's assume that's the username I pick, fresh fish 25. So we'll run that, and then we have it John 20, fresh fish 25 as username. Do we get the logic?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we've talked about classes and objects. We talk about I think some people must have slept. Let's stop here for the night. So all the concepts we have discussed today is what we are going to use tomorrow when we actually start the work. So you see that that project Airbnb is a very big one.
Yes.
It's a very big project because what I know is, or what I've come to realize is, for example, the printf project. When we did the printf project,
Yes.
it was everything
Yes.
that we have learned, everything that we have been taught from the point we started ALX to the point of the printf project. It was everything we learned then that we are supposed to apply to do that project. Then when we went to simple shell, everything we have applied before now is what we're supposed to apply to do that project. But this your Airbnb now, everything you have learned in Python so far is what you are supposed to use to do this project. So that is why I had to first of all go through testing, because you will do a lot of tests under this project. I had to go through star args and coags. I also have to explain classes and objects. These are all the things, or all the concepts that we are going to be using. There is one more concept that I did not explain today, which is console. Python console. I have not explained it. Is a form of writing your code such that your Python output will be run on a command line. You'll be seeing your output on a command line as if you are coding inside your sandbox. You will run the code, but it will behave as if you are still in your sandbox. Let me see if I can pull up an example. Okay, let's see. But this one won't be able to run it. Oh, okay, run. Now it's called CMD. It's called Python CMD. So in the Python CMD, we have our class normally, but the only difference is in your bracket here. Remember when we were doing the rectangle, what did we have in the bracket here? We didn't have anything, no. See,
Yes.
we only had class
Yes.
user, nothing. There was nothing here. But this time around now, in our CMD, we'll put cmd.cmd. The first CMD is small letter. Then the next CMD starts with the C, because it's capital letter. Then we would always leave an intro message. The intro message is always displayed. Then prompt, every time the prompt should ask you to input something. I will change this now to this. So if I run it again, do you see? So this prompt would always display. Now there are things we call there are the functions that the CMD that we need to define in the CMD. For example, we have this function do greet. We have another function do add. All these comments that we put here, they are like instructions on how to use each of the code. So let me show you. If I press, look at it. If I type help, or question mark, it will list the command. So I've typed help. I'll press enter. documented commands. What are the commands that we have? Add, exit, greet,
Great.
help.
Great.
Help.
Yes.
So let's greet. Let's say I want to greet. Hello,
Hello.
nothing. But if I say greet Cynthia, hello Cynthia.
Okay.
Now is ask. Okay, so let's say I want to let me talk about add. It says, do you see? It tells me the usage.
Yes, you add number.
That I will add, then I will press the number 1 and number 2. Okay, so add 3, 4. Result 7.
So,
This is CMD. This is the way CMD is. Python CMD. This is just the operation of a Python CMD. Add 3A. What did he say? Invalid numbers. And that's taking care.
Yes.
That's taking care of this except. So anytime there is a value error, print invalid numbers.
invalid numbers. Yes.
When we enter 2 numbers, it's supposed to split the line and add the numbers. But if you don't write the numbers correctly, let's say, look at it now, add 4, 5, 6. It will give me, tell me that no, usage, it must only be 2 numbers. If I press exit, if I type in exit, the program has closed.
Yes.
So it's not like a Python code that you have to be looping by yourself. This one automatically loops by itself.
So it's inbuilt.
Exactly, the CMD is like an inbuilt looper. This is where we called the loop. If underscore underscore name equals to underscore underscore main, my CMD dot CMD loop.
Yeah.
That's how we called it. So it's like a loop on its own. If I run it again, I can type question mark and then it shows me all the possible functions. Once again, greet Chelsea. Hello Chelsea. Greet.
Why isn't Chelsea?
I don't do this. I don't do Chelsea.
No, we got to greet Chelsea. No be small problem. So greet Festus, it says hello Festus. Okay, what if I say greet 4, greet 3, hello 3? Because it takes this 3 as
So it's also
a
accepting
as a string.
string.
It's a string now, so it will take it. It's a string, so we take it. So this is just the way CMD works. So that's why I say this is the last thing I need to explain, because you will see in the instruction for the Airbnb, you will be told that you are supposed to use CMD. I'm coming. Let me see if I can get that information out. Okay, I've seen it. Let me share it for you. Do you see? Execution. Your shell should work like this in interactive mode. So you see, when they run the Python code console.py,
Yeah.
do you see it came out like this? It should run like this in interactive mode. It should also run like this in non-interactive. So you must write it using then see. Look at the way you do the unit test. So when you run the test, this is the framework of how the code should work. You see it's console. So you are writing the code based on console, Python console, which is the CMD. You get it. When we get there, you will understand better. Don't worry. It's not an issue. So tomorrow we'll continue from here. By tomorrow, all I know I'm doing is I'm going straight forward into explaining the Airbnb direct. I don't need to have to go back and forth about doing anything else. All I need to do is just go there. I'll just be saying, I'm sure you remember yesterday when we talk about this. I'm sure you remember yesterday when we talk about this. That's all I will just be saying.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, guys. So I guess
Same time tomorrow. Same time tomorrow.
yes, it's only 12 midnight. They bring my light,
Okay.
and I don't want us to be in class and then the power goes off and my system is going to shut down. So I don't want that. 12 midnight, my light is always ready, regular. 12 midnight. They've converted me to working in the
Nicholas was
midnight.
with them. Oh, no, wow. Even the network is even more friendly too.
Exactly. At midnight, the network is favorable. At least today,
Mm.
we didn't have
But
any network
it's good as I did
interference.
today. I don't enjoy it. Yes. When I didn't enjoy it much.
All right. So I will share a link to be able to download the
Mm-hmm.
recording.